time for us to adopt a new company brand to encompass everything that we do. To reflect who we are and what we hope to build, I am proud to announce that starting today, our company is now Meta. Our mission remains the same. It's still about bringing people together. Our apps and their brands, they're not changing either. And we are still the company that designs technology around people.
Welcome back to Investment Tribe, where you've subscribed because you want to learn all about cryptocurrencies, NFTs, and other digital assets. Don't forget to leave us a thumbs up and enable the notifications so you'll be alerted whenever we post a new video. It's easy to consider the Metaverse as just another marketing stunt, but it might play a vital role in the future technology. We also think that the term Metaverse will become obsolete, like when we referred to the internet as the information superhighway. But many predictions about the information superhighway were surprisingly accurate. That's why we think that we will eventually see the same thing with the Metaverse. The question now is, when? We will try to answer that question in this video. So without further ado, let's begin. To be honest, this question is tough to answer. It's not like looking at a particular company's roadmap and estimating when they will ship a specific product. We're talking about an era. It's best to think about the arrival of the Metaverse in terms of shifts in behavior. Like the internet, the Metaverse describes a group of technologies, business models, and interactions. We can guess when the Metaverse will arrive by looking for the moment at which the digital world becomes more meaningful to most people than the physical world. Artificial intelligence has this concept of singularity to describe a moment when technological growth becomes uncontrollable and irreversible. Once an AI system can improve itself beyond human capabilities, these improvements will start compounding endlessly. So this arrival is a long way off, but with the people interacting with the digital world feels like the Metaverse is coming sooner rather than later. Our focus on the physical world has been declining for decades. Our work, our hobbies, and our source of entertainment are primarily in digital form nowadays. But the Metaverse is more than just our activities. It's about identity and individualism. There are currently 4.6 billion internet users globally. That's more than half of the people on Earth. We're firmly in the internet age now, but only a tiny fraction of those people immerse in the digital world. Regardless of how you feel about the idea of moving into an online world, it's still worthwhile to try and predict when this might happen. If we want to estimate the time of the Metaverse's arrival, we must first agree that it describes a future state that isn't already here. The same scenario was when we had cell phones in the 1980s, but no one claims that the mobile era started then. I've seen a few people argue that Second Life or Roblox is already metaverses, but neither is fully immersive in our opinion. Having said that, we think that the Metaverse will build on top of what Second Life and Roblox have done. We need to agree that the Metaverse is possible and will only be successful if people like it. Consumers will always have particular brand preferences. The rivalry between Android and iPhone helped phones become ubiquitous. Phones drew more attention because of that endless debate about which one was better. The Metaverse deals with an entirely new computing era here, not just a particular product or service. It requires a collection of technological advances. Virtual reality and augmented reality have to get better. System and networks need to start talking to one another, and the internet needs to get faster. Eventually, there will be many different ways to interface with the virtual environments, but I still think virtual reality headsets are critical here. Many believe that developments in VR technology, particularly Oculus Rift, have stalled since 2012, but Facebook is still releasing new versions of the device. However, most of the population is not appreciative since they've only sold a few million of them, compared to the nearly 3 billion people who use Facebook. The first consumer Oculus launched in 2016 and has a resolution of a little over 1 megapixel per eye, which wasn't terrible, but it led to some noticeable pixelation. The Oculus Quest 2, which came out in 2020, serves up about 3.5 megapixels per eye, roughly equivalent to 4K, but even that isn't enough for true immersion. However, other VR headset brands are in contention with Zuckerberg's Oculus Rift in terms of technology. The VARJO XR3 is an excellent example of what's possible in VR when money isn't an issue. The headset costs $6,000 upfront and requires a $1,500 per year subscription on top of that. The VARJO XR3 pushes its limitations by using multiple screens stacked on top of each other to deliver more than 11 megapixels per eye. These aren't perfect apples-to-apples comparisons, since tons of different factors go into making a VR experience feel genuinely immersive. But it's a solid step forward. VARJO also implements LiDAR sensors and augmented reality. This VARJO headset delivers 115 degrees of view, meaning you can see more of your surroundings in your peripheral vision, which is key to immersion. For reference, the second HoloLens from Microsoft covers only 52 degrees, and Snap's new AR glasses is 26 degrees. As with other tech products, VRs will only get cheaper, and when it does, we should see adoption climb. But VRs are not the only technology needed for the metaverse, as many other technologies need to improve. As the Chief Technology Officer of OCULUS, John Carmack said, "I have been pretty actively arguing against every single metaverse effort that we have tried to spin up internally in the company from even pre-acquisition times. I want it to exist, but I have pretty good reasons to believe that setting out to build the metaverse is not the best way to wind up with the metaverse." That's an interesting perspective. No company can usher the metaverse era alone because it's a broad mixture of technologies. However, that doesn't mean that a single company can't have a profound impact here. We think that Facebook and Zuckerberg need their iPhone moment. Although many other companies played essential roles in the smartphone industry, iPhone brought everything together and served as the vital turning point. 91% of people view Apple favorably, compared to just 71% for Facebook. That's why we think that Zuckerberg is desperate for a big win in the metaverse. It might be VR, a social platform, or something else entirely, but Zuck is restructuring the entire company to try as many ideas as possible. Remember when Zuck's Meta announcement was borrowed from Jobs' "One More Thing" line? We think it's a good strategy, and Zuckerberg's trying to project Steve Jobs onto himself, but the messaging could not have been more different than Jobs. Why? Well, when Steve Jobs announced a new Apple product, they were ready to ship. He wasn't talking about a far-off future, and Apple had been incredibly tight-lipped about the fact that they were working on a phone before the announcement. In short, Jobs never mentioned how vital mobile would be to Apple until they were ready to launch a polished product. In the case of Metaverse, it's hard to nail down when we'll hit the tipping point and be able to say that we are in the age of Metaverse confidently. Many different products are involved here, and it might only be apparent in retrospect. Having said that, we think that we can study the behavior of product sales to see where we are right now. Let's look first at VR headsets. Last year, we saw about 6 million new sales, which will bring the total number of headsets out in the world to 16 million units. That's still relatively incredibly low, to be honest, especially since there are billions of internet users right now. But if we look at the growth, it's around 60% per year. That's why if it continues, we could see 1 billion headsets in circulation by 2030. The second thing to look out for is the cryptocurrency adoption rate, since they will likely play a significant role in the metaverse long term. MetaMask is the fastest growing Ethereum wallet and is a critical part of the DeFi ecosystem. MetaMask usage is a good proxy for the size of this audience, and it's growing even faster than VR. It had 500,000 users in July 2020 and crossed 10 million users in August 2021. Doing the math, it's an insane 20 times annual growth rate. So we can confidently assume that by 2030, there will be 1 billion cryptocurrency users worldwide. Lastly, we can also look at Zuckerberg's plan precisely. He's aiming to deploy $180 billion over the next 10 years on the metaverse. Compare that to Apple's $150 million investment to develop the first iPhone. So at this point, it would be more surprising if Zuck will not have some sort of impact on the metaverse, since $180 billion is a staggering amount of money, genuinely unprecedented in the tech industry. Zuckerberg truly believes in the metaverse, and there's no turning back now. He thinks he can have a meaningful impact in the next 10 years and even has reconfigured this whole company for the metaverse. We still don't know what the next decade will have in store for the metaverse, but you can be sure that some exciting things will happen here. So that's our video for today. We hope you somehow got enlightened about the metaverse. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. Well, that's all for now. This is Investment Tribe. See you again tomorrow. Keep in mind to like, share, and subscribe.